My curriculum backs up, and I turn the computer off, and I'm teaching you 1 and 2 for
Lucky number.
in my office, my first 4 years.
Actually, it was a real incident. Expiration date. I am alone in my kitchen eating a large can of peaches. I just retrieved it from the garbage. My daughter pitched it because the expiration date was long past.
She's kin to my daughter.
She scolded me as if I were a child. You won't die of old age, Dad. You're going to die of food poisoning. I love her dearly, and she may be right, but damn it, that wasn't her call to make. Even though I'm old, that was for me to say. These peaches, in fact, do things kind of funny. But I'm eating the whole damn can.
You're here, so you were right.
Alive to tell the tale.
Yeah.
My daughter is obsessed with this.
Proved right one more time.
They come home, they're like, whoa, you know, like tea. I'm like,
But hey, but
Yeah.
2011,
We have a son like that, right?
1980 seems like yesterday to me.
The peaches don't know they've expired.
Actually happened with a huge can of peaches. My dog, without asking me, comes and throws it away out of my pantry, and then she lovingly was trying to take care of me.
Well, usually you get respect, don't you?
See, sometimes.
I have a poem that speaks to that.
Oh, let's go left.
I have in my kitchen cupboard a can of grape leaves, which I was going to stuff about 4 years ago. And I am afraid to use it and too damn stingy to throw it away.
Okay. From childhood, because didn't think of any other name for it. I cannot now recall his face, but remember his Uncle Maynard saying, "I don't reckon I ever done see dairy." I wonder these 6 decades later why we called that boy John Russell Stink Nasty. And did we ever say it to his face, which I cannot now recall? We didn't call him that. I don't know if we ever said it to him.
The absence of respect is the theme for the day.
Identity theft. Who exactly am I? All our lives, my sister and I have sounded so alike, we might well have had one voice. We've even fooled our closest kin, her children, our sister. The adults in town, 2 adults in town, I was known not as me, but as my parents' child. At school, the teachers identified me by my older siblings, to live up or to live down. And now, dead these dozen years, my mother looks at me from unanticipated mirrors. It's startling sometimes. Physics. My teacher said, "White is the combination of all colors," a statement about which I harbored serious doubt. So at home, I put my paint box to the test. The result was not white. Some years later, I recognized that it isn't that all the colors go into white, but they all come out. It snowed last week. The air was white, the ground was white, no colors anywhere, till I went to shovel the drive. Tossing scoops of snow onto mounds of snow revealed a whiter white, though knowing just how that could be was beyond my ken. Then the sun came out, and what had been white in places was now blue. An errant crystal caught the light, flaring into reds and yellows, green when I moved my head, though all around the landscape still was white. Inside for a warming cup of tea, I watched the moving sun find a purpose-hung crystal, thrown across the kitchen wall with subtle gradations in between were all those teacher-cited colors from the past: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Very colorful.
I heard on NPR that there really is only one color, but they had to put the I, indigo and violet, so that it could be
Roy G. Biv.
BIV. But there really is, it's really one color.
What is?
The indigo and violet are actually
Oh, one
smushed
color.
together.
Oh,
as one,
really?
But it made the acronym easier.
Oh,
It was on NPR, so it must be true.
I don't know about that.
That's the best one. Indigo, I like the
Yeah, it's
sound
a
of it.
nice.
Yes.
I can identify with the identity theft. When I was growing up, my father was in politics. He was the mayor. Love's lost and found. I loved once. No, really twice. Oh, maybe more, I don't know for sure. But yes, twice. The first was one of passion, presence, hardly perfect, but pleasure. Ah, yes. I knew the touch, the pulse, the thighs, the sighs of love that only poets know. The ones who give their lines to verse, letting go of sanity and finding ecstasy in being one. Then the love I knew faded. Not immediate for sure, but it passed just the same, taking its course in due time, as the merely mundane pushed aside the bountiful bliss. Words replaced touch, actions overcame the passions, as a practical pair we became. Love was lost, at least the one we thought we knew, and without the sense to search our souls to find its rightful place, we settled. Simple rationalization, some called it. It's for the kids that parting can't exist. We'll stay together out of love for them. Not for us, but simply, well, simply us was our refrain. How many years went by, I do not know. Times of struggle, times of fear, times of wanting to be free. I pushed, she shoved. I reached, she grabbed. There was nothing to know but tension, anger, and grief. Until after a while we noticed. Something changed. We came to see each other for who we were, and to see ourselves for what we were not. We let go, let be, allowing ourselves to become, well, no one really, no one in particular, that is, just who we were. Two people, each practicing to be no one special. And then we found it, as if it were always there right between us. No, not the love we thought we had and lost, but something new, different. The love that could not be until we let go of the one that was gone, the one we really never had at all.
Very nice, Tom.
This, I've, as we do with a lot of poetry, I write and rewrite and read and reread and so forth. And I have to say, every time I read this, I get somewhat emotional about it because it is what has happened.
Well, it has the ring of truth. I think anyone who's been with any partner for a very long time realizes that over the years you transform yourselves and change, and that you're not married to the same person if it's a marriage, that you in fact have several different lives that you lead, and the interactions redefine themselves. So I think it's a beautiful point.
it is. Very, very beautiful.
And it's more than beauty, it's so thoughtful.
Did your partner, for many years, enjoy the poem?
I'm not sure I would use the word enjoy.
She read it.
She can certainly identify with it, yes. Yes.
She reflected upon it.
She reflected upon it, yes. This winter woods. In full summer, hundreds of millions, thousands of billions of leaves, green in every shade, shaped and rustling, each to its own form. It is a universe, a cornucopia of flavor and texture, life's variety to the infinite power. In dead winter, sticks of gray and black, bareness, open to the sky, masquerading dry bones. The downed brown leaves spell out decay. But in there is hope.
the end of winter. Then comes, on the other side, the rewards of aging. As one's years add up, come weariness and a buffet of pain. Growing old is not for sissies, is the trite refrain. But one of the joys of living just as long as one can is discovering the experiences missed in a normal span. First, near vision declines, a most noticeable deficit. Then a sore low back from the meeting room chair where for hours you sit. Then perhaps some surgery and mounting blood pressure, and your skin goes blotchy and wrinkled, sagging for good measure. There's increasing joint pain, and turning pages you're a trembler. Things you pick up drop, and other things you don't remember. You fall into many naps without ever being aware, and your knees let you know the state of their wear. It's great to be witness to life's erosion, the weakness and crumbling, a structural implosion. It's the cycle of life to watch our fibers fray and organs stumble after years of flawless play. With your long personal experience and knowledge of history, the brutal and comical antics of humans are seldom a mystery. With all your knowledge, aren't you thought wise and much adored? No, most people think otherwise. You're superannuated, ignored.
I think I'm gonna cry. I love the fiber spray. I feel like that's spray.
Okay.
So in the dead leaves, there's hope. In my knees, there is no hope.
Unanswered question or unanswerable. Why does anyone care what someone else believes? Unless their belief leads to destructiveness to others, why can we not respect the lifeline to which they choose to cling? I say go for it. Good for you. Evolution's design for kinship selection and its genetic preferences for similarities may have left us hardwired to self-destruct. If so, that will be a sad day. Honesty, transparency, mutual respect, curbing our own violence on the streets, in the home, in our language, in our schools and video games, our hearts, and in our leaders all remain decent goals. What is indecent is the apparent inevitability of our hardwiring winning. Beginning on some winter night, the snow will fall steadily for 1,000 years and hush in as it's falling of the spore city whose seed has flown. The long trail of Halley's Comet will pass like a ghostly match flame over the unwatched grave of the cities.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if it's proper to use someone else's work like I did. The last paragraph is from Lauren Isley's The Invisible Pyramid.
Oh, sure.
Quoting is to put it in italics and keep out the quotation marks.
Okay, or maybe italics.
Italics instead of quotation marks.
Okay.
Delete the quotation marks and put the whole quote in italics.
The final paragraph, the final stanza.
Pardon?
It looks good on the page.
Yes, it does.
Being mortal. Knowledge of the body human, as physicians must know, is key to the practice of medicine, and although nothing has been found to cure the aches and pains and ills of advancing years and erosion of life wills, Atul Gawande, a physician of note, has observed that problems of age have failed to respond to prescriptions on page. Rather, the unique social needs of humans still living and the essence of old folks with the will to keep giving. Elder care doctors who are committed to be helpful must deal with elder hostels that ignore the social. Together they must consider the Gawande light, which will make care of our elders just right.
There seems to be a theme this week.
I know.
That's what spring does to us, right?
I thought it would be a downer, but it wasn't at all. I go back to your poem, there's some hope, and I felt very positive. And I think that's what makes him a good writer, is that he's able to take a topic that is very difficult and give some feeling of hope to it, give some feeling of aliveness. The story in the book about his relationship to his father is very powerful.
The sound must have invaded my sleep. As I woke, in my dream I found myself yelling at the noise, "Stop, stop." Uncomfortable in that half-awake moment, I sat up on the edge of the bed. The screeching, pounding surrounded me. I gathered myself up and walked toward the bathroom. The light switch did not work. The water tap did not pour water. The toilet paper roll would not move on its spindle. I said, "This is impossible." But no sound came from my mouth. In fact, it was as if the sound were being pushed down my throat. The phone did not work. 911 could not be called up as the keypad would not move. I became very anxious that the sounds surrounding me were going to harm me. I did not know where to go to avoid it. The coffee pot could not be filled. The water would not come out of the tap. I could not pull open the cabinet doors. It was as if I could not make any sound. The radio did not work. The television would not turn on. I felt abandoned, afraid. Looking out the windows, I could see no lights. No cars moved on the streets. No kids waited for their school bus. I found I could open the front door if I moved so slowly that it made no clicking noise. I could not shut the door again. So fearful, I returned to my bedroom and huddled under the sheets, holding my ears closed. 2 days later, in the morning, the alarm clock rang. Water was running in the bathroom sink. The overwhelming sounds I'd listened to for 2 days had faded. I heard a wren singing. Dawn seemed so usual and beautiful. In the kitchen, I reached for the radio on switch, and a man was pleading for the entire city to remain calm. Then he said this: several other parts of the country are still experiencing the noise problem. New York and Los Angeles are still closed. Authorities are afraid that if we start resuming our usual activities, the noise will come back. Nothing will move. There will be no food. Scientists in remote places report no problem. Kansas is totally clear. But cities and factories can no longer make so much noise. A baby's cry could destroy everything. No sounds can be made that stop all human activity. It seems we have worn out our ability of our space to contain our noise. In my mind, as I listened to the frantic man, I heard a ukulele playing and a man's thread-like voice singing, tiptoe through the tulips. The unexpected had happened.
Was that in your mind?
It was just a juxtaposition.
Maybe.
A simpler lifetime.
So you're harking back, because that was like in the 70s when he recorded that.
I think if you changed the frantic man to that frantic
That,
man,
okay,
I think that
right.
would
Okay, that might,
Okay.
yeah, okay. So in your mind, you heard the Tiny Tim break through in your brain somewhere that it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
I've been too busy to think. So this is the only thing I've thought about as a poem in the last 2 weeks. But it's the plumbing job. And I'll have to admit, I composed it as a gratitude to the people who provided the help. So, when short on time and plumbing skills, I called a fellow landlord, our son Brad, calling for help for his poor old dad to find a plumber he'd recommend, who can make cuts, install shut-off valves and connections that mend. Soon afterwards, I answered a phone call to hear from Brad's plumber, Paul, who said that if I needed a plumber, he's available. And I asked, when can you bring this plumbing job to your work table? And to my surprise, Paul said, I can do it now.
Wow.
In my head, I was silently thinking, holy cow. Let's meet at 121 North Lancaster in 10 minutes to check it out. We saw we needed tubing, connectors, an elbow corner, and a shut-off valve. Off to Lowe's, where we went shopping for parts, our local home supplies shopping mart, with Paul knowing exactly where supplies were shelved, even by brand. We were checking out within 25 minutes with supplies in hand. It takes me hours. Let's see, where am I? I lost myself.
Paul went to pick up.
Okay, Paul went to pick up his tools and assistant Jason. The two arrived back at the bathroom work site quite soon. For an hour or so, the plumbers plumbed till they had the job plumb done. Improving the water flow to and from the toilet required much thought and toil doing it. Their efforts put mine to shame. I'm so thankful that Paul and Jason came. And first and last, the thank is for our son Brad for generously sharing Paul and Jason, who are good as could be had. They in turn were adaptable to accept the change in their work site, and who made our tenants and my burdens much more light.
I like the topic, everyone can relate to it. Yes, right.
Maybe plumbing is sort of like science fiction.
When Sven starts any plumbing jobs, I usually leave home. On the safest way.
She can't stand the language.
Imagine, sometimes that language makes it work.
Well, last evening the job was the washing room dryer, which took about 3 hours, and I thought, I should have a repairman doing this. They know what they're doing, and they'd have it done in a half an hour. So you're not going to get a poem on that, so I'm done.
But isn't it fun to write this kind of thing by such a mundane thing as That's really nice.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that too.
I like that.
I think the plumbers enjoyed it.
I'm sure they
It's where we find our life. Mundane details every day.
Yeah. Like cooking or something.
I would just say in this group, this is my third time, but I've been finding the notion of mundane and just like making fun of myself in poetry has been lightened my life in terms of there's just a lot of things going on that are not right in our life right now. So I'm kind of up for this sort of poetry.
Is that mine? Winter? Oh, is it winter?
This one's number.
No, that.
Must be yours.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, yes.
It's mine. I left this in the printer.
Oh. Does everybody have it?
There's
Number
the one that's going
fest. Okay,
Number Fest and all the rest.
I have it.
You know, okay, that's all right.
Just give it back to Robin.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
I almost forgot number 13 Fest till I noticed Stimson was jammed. Kids in shorts the size of gloves holding cases of 24 cans. Next morning, we strolled around the block, met a shoeless and muddy lot. We opened up with, "Hello, fine day," and they asked where to find the toe spot. So we walked the kids to our front door and offered the restrooms and Cokes. Having lost their bank cards and money too, we gave them a ride while they called their folks. I would say, what on earth were you thinking? But thinking was not about this. The leaping in and crawling out was going for fun, just spontaneous. Honestly, in the years we have, ditching good sense might be fine. Just let life take flight for a while. Lose our shoes just one more time.
Number fest.
like that.
Shortest the size of
Raw.
gloves.
Now I know why
Your
my
granddaughter put a
Yeah,
picture of
it
herself
used to
on
be in
Facebook
town.
covered in mud.
And then they didn't
They
have
were
rooms,
just
so they moved
mud
out
up
someplace
and
on
down.
56.
But where we live is just
They
a
got
block
20,
over from here, so
30,000
we
people out there.
frequently.
And they have
There was a
facilities
picture
for
in
them.
the messenger this morning of the
Places, I mean,
traffic
it's
backed
just
up
like-
all the way into town, all out 56.
They walk in the road.
In the last 2 months.
Oh, it's a
And
crazy
there-
town.
There were letters
Just let
in,
them know.
The life take flight
Letters
one
in
more
the,
time, lose our.
news. Yeah, the Athens News.
Play with it right there.
They were.
Okay, the last, just switching around the
Yeah,
two.
White Mill had people
Okay.
introduce us, and then some places, oh, and
Our Japanese friends, when we went to look at the cherry trees and
Tommy's doghouse.
Tomoka
I
said,
can only
I
take
can't
one
hear.
person
I
at a
don't want to
time.
use the toilet. Some
What are all
girls were
the
too
shoes?
hot, so they
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to climb into the refrigerator where they had the
And like
frozen
over the
cakes.
wires, but the shoes just around, if you just walked or drove around town on Sunday, I mean, there's shoes everywhere. I don't, and these kids, 2 of them did not have any shoes. They were roaming the east side, having no idea how to get to where they might find any assistance. I mean, I know. Oh, well.
Young and foolish.
Education isn't going to help.
I hope it will someday.
I think the other theme we've got going today, aging, might help.
Aging and teaching.
Well, they had $7 with all 4 of them, so.
And they were going to, their car had been towed?
Yeah.
They'd never get it out for $7.
No, no, and
That's why
they
they
lost
call
their
the
bank
folks.
cards and everything out in the woods.
was drinking.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff going on.
Well, and the,
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
the fellow that does Numberfest is now, he's
Brent.
going to do another one. He's going to do, college country music or some
Yeah.
such thing as that?
Let's give him a ticket to nowhere.
Yes, I think
Petrovsky?
Hasta la
Petrovsky.
vista, baby.
hasta no more vista.
Okay, so this is just another kind of goofy one. Hitting my stride.
Okay.
My first encounter with the sport of bowling and the resolute, dogged Miss Kaiser made it clear that the skills were beyond me when I ended a game with a 5-er. I really did. My gym ensemble was tidy and pressed, and I kept an impeccable folder, but the weight of the ball was a shocker as it traveled over my shoulder. Extra credit was now a requirement. To avoid repeating the class, I studied the most obscure of rules and with paper and pencil did pass. Later my family hoped we could play, so accoutrements had to be many. A hairy chest from Spencer's Gifts and a vintage shirt name of Gary. Accessories gave me some moxie, and I chose to play as I pleased. So I dumped the sachet and did my own walk, and a strike on my birthday was a breeze.
Yay. I like that. I think the name is actually Spencer's Gifts. The G would be capitalized. I think that's the name of the store.
Indeed,
I can look
it
it up.
is the store. And I don't know if it still exists or not, but they had a great
Mall
chest,
store.
which
Yeah.
then was actually in a bunch of little films and stuff that you might have. This chest was passed around after I stopped using it for bowling. Thank you, Heather.
Bowling can be a dangerous game when you're a spectator and, or they come back this way and lose their grip on the ball. You about lose your grip on life.
Well, and you just reach down and try to find a ball, and I just go like this, and nothing moves. I think, God, how can I get this up? Oh.
Is it okay to stand up for a minute?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Stand up
You
more.
have another 59 seconds to go.
Oh, since we're past the halfway point.
This is Hometown Blues. What happens when you live in a town you grew up in? Things become known. Stuff soaks into the bones. The old creaking iron bridge that once hung over the hawking next to a field of spearmint. And when walking over the bridge on a summer day, it was as 1,000 pieces of Wrigley's were in your mouth. The bridge is now a concrete bypass and the field a housing development. Around the corner, Old Man Wright's farm still holds his barn, a pond, and on his hill are several tiny crosses where his pet dogs rest still. In the old home place, as they say, one of his relatives came to stay. But across the street where corn grew in rows, now resides condos. You knew the individual shopkeepers on Main. Customer service was never out of date. They are gone now, turned into restaurants, bars, banks, and the Glass Museum. Splattered in between are empty spaces like Mother Hubbard's cupboard and a tacky neon-lit pawn shop that is not even second rate. You know why the old maple tree's bark is scarred, because old lovers' names were carved. The tree still stands and shades the land, and I know the lovers now do not walk hand in hand. You know the back way to places that MapQuest does not. You know that the barber shop used to be a donut shop, and the laundromat was a neighborhood grocery store, a grocery that sold grape knee-high and lots of candy that pennies would buy. On Chestnut Street behind the police station is an old, odd dwelling. An artist lives there with her husband and a few beautiful dogs. I wonder who all knows this once was a Jewish synagogue. I remember the ever-burning oil and the cantor singing. When I leave my town for wherever I'm bound, I hope to find some locals around, the ones who accept the new, but also know the old stories and the history of commonplaces and all their glories.
That's beautiful.
These places I'm talking about,
There's a lot that MapQuest doesn't know.
or what they know it's wrong.
None of the history.
Can you look forward a number of decades and think of those people, now children, who will grow up and look back at this time like that? That's well nigh impossible to believe, isn't it?
Well, what's
But
impossible
it'll
is to
happen.
think what their usual place will be like, that what we know now as normal will be odd and quaint
Yeah,
to them.
right.
Who remembers the Stimson Bridge, Street Bridge?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
You know, it came across Simpson and
Yeah.
came straight across. You know where the red barber shop is?
Yeah.
Well, it used to come
Collega's.
right up next to that, Made it much,
Before
if
the
it were
bus
still
has
there,
to
it'd
be.
make it easier for me to get across into town.
Yeah.
This town is on the Hocking, but it's not Athens? Or-
No, it's Lancaster. Hawkins goes through Lancaster.
Oh.
Are you familiar with Winesburg, Ohio?
Yeah.
This struck me immediately as,
I thought of our town, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Sherwood
certainly,
Anderson, Winesburg, Ohio. It's a
Winesburg, Ohio, yeah.
series of sketches of
Right.
this small town.
I think it's true for any small town, and most people
Well-
don't stay in their small town, they leave it.
even here in Athens, who, for a long time, I did not live in my house, not where I am now, but the place I lived. It was the Williams house. They had moved out ever so long ago, and people will give you directions. You go out in the country, they'll say, well, you go down to where Charlie Edgar used to live, and then you turn, I don't know where Charlie, because, you know, down there. Kind of on the final stanza, second line, local should be without an apostrophe.
Oh, yeah.
Editorial privilege.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
how things change.
And you're right, there is a theme here. The old.
Yeah.
No, that's very nice, very, certainly.
Evocative is what it is.
On the first line of the third stanza, at the end of the line, there should be a comma after barn.
Yeah.
Talk about trivia.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone, they're fantastic.
And in the fifth stanza, second line, lovers' names should have an apostrophe after lovers.
There we go. Lovers, yeah.
S apostrophe.
Apostrophe. You can put a comma and say that.
Okay, thank you.
Is that the name of the book?
Because it's, if you can say and. What? Old
The
and,
New York Times,
If you can
the New
reverse
York
them.
editor, the New Yorker editor's book is named comma, I think.
Stable unit.
Yes, oh, what is it called?
I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
you could say
It's,
old.
it's
The
got
one
a
we-
symbol of a comma,
yeah, the one we recommend.
like a whistle. You know how a whistle, and transported into a comma.
I can't think of the exact title of it, but Patricia.
It's
should
the
know.
whole we stand up, do some yoga stretches.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's, well.
I had an experience sort of reminiscent of this last weekend. I was in, well, I was at Malabar Farm. Because
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
the Ohio Poetry Association very often has workshops there. And then I had to go, because that's over in northeastern Ohio, not real far north, but anyway, over there. Then I had to go to a bridal shower that was way the hell and gone off in western Ohio. But I was going to, on Route 30, which used to be the National Road West, and going through towns named, you know, Bucyrus, not
yeah.
through them, but past them, Bucyrus and Crestline and Galleon. And these are just names echoing from my youth because I grew up my early years in Mansfield. And then even there was a sign for Forest, which is a town this big around, that where my aunt and uncle had a farm, and we used to go stay with them in the summertime sometimes. And it just was, echoes just going ding, ding, ding.
Have you been to Gnawbone, Indiana?
Gnawbone,
Indiana. It's on the way to Bloomington.
How about Joker, West Virginia?
I was down in Kentucky, I think, with some friends. And we came up to a little town. The name of the town was Nada. And I said to the people in the car, well, this is a real nothing town, isn't it? And they said, yeah, there's not much to it. I thought, well, there's no point in making jokes with illiterate people.
Okay, take two. Take two, there's no.
No, I thought I finally conquered my printer to do what I wanted to, and it did for a while and then stopped. The rest of these, the rest of these have the whole thing on one sheet of paper.
One sheet. Ah, okay.
Yes.
What are we supposed to
I gotta save one for myself.
Life is chaos down there and we're suffering.
I gotta have one back.
Is there a front and a back?
No.
2 pages.
There's some of them
Oh,
have
some
a front and
two
a
You're gonna come to a fire meeting.
They're not different, it's just that the printer stopped.
Okay, what are we supposed to have?
Just
You're
one.
good,
That's
you're
it.
good.
Just
Different,
one.
but they're the same.
They're different, they're the same,
Some
I'm
more on
sorry.
2 pages, but not these.
Okay.
If
One
you have-
page, 2 sides. Right?
Yes.
You don't have any?
Wait a minute, when it comes around, because I have 15 copies.
So, you slide?
I don't
Oh,
have.
you don't have any, so they gotta go that way still.
We can
She
share.
only.
We're adults, it's okay.
I know, no, it'll come around. It'll come around. Oh, because I made 15 copies.
Yeah, she made
They're creeping about on that side of the table.
There you go.
Yes.
This is, let me just, there's 2 of these. You get the one with, no, sorry. This is not at all what I thought I was going to be writing about. And in fact, I'd started something else, but 2 days ago, I couldn't get this out of my
You
mind.
can't refuse the muse.
So I started
Can't
on
refuse the
a
muse.
different track. And I really would appreciate feedback on this because it's going to go to our, well, you'll see where we go. It's called A Fiery End. On an icy morning in 1989, we rounded the corner toward our farm on Baker Road. The sight of fire engines tore at our hearts as we realized Mr. Bill's cabin was burning. It was agony to call Bill on a Fulbright in Madagascar, a disjointed conversation, groggy from sleep. I don't want to give you false hope. Nothing is salvageable. The piano melted. The fire started with a spark from the wood stove lit to provide warmth for a cat Bill had adopted before leaving, who had kittens the night before. The ending symbolizing the nurturing that so typified the cabin's existence. The children of my womb found within your walls wisdom, laughter, and acceptance, which enriched the bounds of their world. Hailey, so at war within herself, found a safe place, fell in love with your love and the world you created. Eli loved the fun and laughter, the games and goofiness, the sense of security of having you there. Don could not speak of it. His labor, love of the trees that provided the logs, his wish to preserve, not destroy, his fierce love of this land, wanting to jealously guard it from intruders, pesticides, poor farming practices, potential development. For me, You were an affirmation of a commitment to share lives, making the farm a community, not an individual endeavor. Mr. Bill had the same vision. He brought Malik, who wondered at so many trees in one spot, and spent his first day walking in awe of the maple woods, pine trees, and greenness, in contrast to his native Senegal. Then came gentle Jill, whose flute joined Bill at the piano. The cabin filled with music welcomed French students from Benton County, played duets with Marianne. It became a veritable music box to be engaged on opening the door. A photographer arrived on the scene asking questions. Whose business is it? Those who did not know the cabin. Cindy and Jerry, renting the cabin, lost everything to the flames. If you did not know the cabin, it is none of your business. It is not Fire Guts House on Baker Road. You could not ask what was it worth. You would know that question could never be answered.
Nice
What made it think, what made you think?
I don't know, because this happened in 1989. I don't know what brought it up so strongly, and I have no idea.
At the time.
At the time, I wrote a prose piece. Remember?
I remember it very well. I was,
I
we
could
were
not.
working together at that time.
Was it the same time of the year? I mean, was it?
No,
So
it was actually in February when the fire happened.
Where was the cabin located?
It
Just
was
up
right
on the
next
road?
to where there was a log cabin right before you get to our farm.
Before you turn up.
It was
your-
back a ways from the road,
Yeah, it was
maybe
back a ways.
about 300-400 feet from the highway. Yeah.
It had been there for years and years and years. And so it was just an integral part of our life. And
I was confused. You're changing, first you're sort of talking in the abstract or whatever, and then you're talking, it took me a while to realize you were talking to the cabin.
yes,
And I think you need to make that clear. When you get down to the children of my womb, you're talking to the cabin then.
yes.
But it is not, it took me a while to sort that
Okay,
out.
help me figure, because
Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
third iteration of this. I knew this was a problem, but
Yeah, I mentioned that, yeah, because
You could say found within your cabin walls, so take it up immediately.
okay, yeah.
I thought the children of my womb had found within your walls. I don't know why.
Well,
Yeah, well, they found all this stuff within the walls, but it isn't clear when you make that jump from talking in the abstract, the narrative voice, as it were,
The cabin.
and then you're coming to the personal.
But it's consistent after there, because it's
Yeah.
your, and then your, the world you created, and Don could not speak of it, that's the burning, that's not
Yeah.
the you. So
Yeah.
it keeps saying you. Until you go to another you, that means
It gets
people.
by dealing with personification, like it's very hard.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
to keep the line straight.
So that's what, I'm gonna work on this some more. But, I mean, this is the third time through.
If I get a flash of brilliance, I'll email you. Don't hold your breath.
I think this is, for me, a real, again, I guess maybe I'm on the identity issue today, but this is, again, who am I and who are we? And we are not these bodies walking around here. We are much more than that. We are a cabin, we are a hill, we are,
Bridge.
a bridge,
Across the
I mean, this is, I think that's, to me, the value of poetry is that we can get beyond the noise and into really who we are. I really identify with this poem. It's really.
Yeah, I do. It's just, I have trouble making that jump right there
Yeah,
between those
I
two
understand,
stanzas.
sure.
I have a question for the people who are more editors than I am. So you're saying that the first, second, and third sections of this poem are abstract, and then when you get into the children of my womb, so then it's not abstract, you realize
No, she's talking to the
Cabin.
cabin.
Okay, so
Before she's talking about the
fire.
incident, the burning.
So are you, so does it mean that those sections that are, where she's talking about the burning should be changed?
No, I'm just saying, she
I'm
needs
just
to,
trying to understand.
she needs to build a bridge between
Okay.
the third stanza and the fourth stanza.
Okay, I get
So
it.
You
we
can skip a
know,
line and put an asterisk in the middle. Or you
No,
can make
no,
it
let's-
Roman 2
let's
after
make it
Roman 1.
Section
or
1, section
many,
2.
many poems are
section
divided
3.
into sections, right?
Yeah, okay.
I think you could move the part
That's an
about
idea.
Don and the burning maybe earlier, and then you go thinking back to all the things that, the music and everything that happened in the cabin. This
Yeah,
part.
well,
Maybe
that's
move it
interesting,
somewhere.
because I had it in a different spot and
Yeah.
changed it.
Because I love the image of the burning and the fire, and then that is replaced by memories. So I would keep the burningness together.
You are using some bold type occasionally for.
The cabin, I
yeah.
tried to make that
Yeah.
consistent.
In the last 2 lines of the first stanza, after tore at our hearts, maybe you put a colon and just Mr. Bill's cabin was burning.
That's good.
Put a colon where?
Sure.
Put a colon where?
After heart.
Yeah, you
Oh,
either
okay.
can
Yeah.
say we saw
Yeah.
it was burning or it was burning, but realizing is unnecessary
Yeah.
because
It
it's
well,
was.
it's weak.
it's
Just
weak.
leave it
Thank
as-
you. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
And then that-
I
Sorry about
asked for the, I asked for the
That
feedback.
just, I think it makes it more dramatic.
But it's still something that just grabs at me, because it was just awful to turn, it was icy. We'd been stuck in an ice storm on the way home, and we turned down, and it was so much that I loved went down with that burning.
But that so much that you love is so evident in this. And the end of it, the anger that somebody would just write
No,
a
this
line
guy
to try to
just-
act like they knew what it was about.
Yeah.
You really got that feeling, that caring and ownership of it.
Mary Ann and I used to work together for 30 years. We worked together at the Center for International Study. And I remember this day very vividly because she was in a blue funk for weeks after and then could talk of nothing else. The cabin was.
It was a form of grief.
It was.
But you have the problem again of who you're talking to or about when you go to the other side of the page, because there you're back to narration. You're not talking to the cabin or of the cabin. You're talking about it, not to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
If I were reading it myself, and you read it, moving right along, but I would be stopped by, so he went to Madagascar and he left a wood burning, I mean.
Yeah,
That would stop me if I were reading it as.
You wouldn't leave a wood fire burning if you went to Madagascar.
Madagascar.
Yeah, I
So
saw
maybe
that
you
too.
could take out the third stanza, or maybe just not say how far away he went.
Or maybe if you.
No, you have to leave it right on
Take
where
the
it
second
was,
and
because
third.
that was, That was
standards and
exactly
reverse
it.
them.
He
Yeah,
had
that's
left and he's all the way in Madagascar.
You
on
can
a-
tell him this.
But I thought,
That
Why would
cannot
he
go.
leave burning fire? if
He didn't,
no,
that's,
he didn't,
that-
he
I
had
need to
renters.
clear.
Didn't he
Yeah.
have renters?
He had renters, so.
See, that's what makes me.
That's
Yeah.
confusing, yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Okay.
confusing.
Then I
Yeah, could
need-
you switch the first and
If you
second stanzas?
Bring
Just reverse the order.
bring the
of-
renters.
The second and third.
Cindy
Second
and
and
Jerry.
third.
Second and third
Second and third
stanza.
stanzas.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah, because Cindy and Jerry will.
Yeah, and they're way, they're way, it's not clear there were renters until.
So you could,
Yeah.
so it went, the cabin was burning, the fire started with a spark, etc. So
So
typified the cabin,
renters-
and it was an agony to call Bill, so it goes that way.
You're
On
keeping it in better chronological order that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think you express your agony better by opening it the way that you do.
But we're not
The
saying,
surprise.
we're not saying to not do that. We're saying it's the second and third, not, I had said first, but I really meant second. I just can't
I
count.
see. First is higher.
And at the end, at the end of the
Oh,
third
okay.
stanza, you put Roman numeral 2.
At the end of the third stanza.
Yeah. And you're gonna
That's-
divide it
yeah,
into
that could
second
be.
and
That's what-
Then you can put a Roman 3 in front of the
The first.
photographer.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Do it like cantos.
Yes,
You know,
that's right.
yeah.
And why is piano melted in
That's a
bold?
good idea.
Just because it was a traumatic thing. Imagine.
Because Bill loved that piano. I mean, it was a beautiful piano and he played it, he's concert pianist, loved it. And he had people, he was it's a significant thing. Now, whether
Yeah, it stops me again.
There used to be a lot of music coming
Maybe it's
from that
supposed to
corner of
stop.
Baker Road.
I thought that's
Wow.
a way
Even
of
piano
showing
melted.
Yeah, I mean,
what would be the.
that's
meaning of
exactly what I said to him because it was the heat, there was nothing left except the big heat. So I want to convey the angst, I guess, and also
Oh, it comes through loud and clear.
what it felt like to call somebody that I love so much, Bill Heminger, and tell him your piano melted and your house is no longer.
And the House of Music is no longer.
And the House of Music
I mean,
is no
it's so
longer.
big, I could see how you could put that in big letters.
And I wonder if you could reverse the order of some of the lines in the 1, 2, 3. The children of my womb found within your walls seem sort of strange. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they in?
And ghostly.
When the walls burned, all at once they found your children in there. That's the way it reads. And
Okay.
could you say?
I'm taking
Could you
notes of
say?
this. Some of
They
them
were
I-
provided a
I
periscope.
thought the Chad found.
Yeah. Could
Wouldn't
you
have
say
found-
found within your walls, or
Had
yeah,
found.
my children?
They
found-
have
yeah,
found.
something like that. It just.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
I had pictures of
Yeah.
Children on the wall.
kids.
Yeah.
Because, I just read this thing about some lady who had 10 babies in her freezer because they were her newborn babies, but she had a drug addiction and she had some other kids and she just didn't feel she could raise them.
I think you should say, to begin